I'm curious. I don't remember Ubisoft ever having a main character who's an actual, like, real life person. But this might be the first time they've done that. Sure, we're on 1080p. Let's watch this trailer. That makes me curious about the chick. I'm sure it's gonna be like the last few Assassin's Creed games where you can choose which one you want to play as, but I'm curious if she's a real life person, because again, Yusake is she a real person? We'll find out.
Who are you? Who do you serve?
So we know this is a Naoya. I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong. I haven't heard her name, so I watched the trailers yet.
All I have ever known in my life.
So she's gonna be a ninja, and Yusake's a samurai. So you're gonna be choosing between playing a samurai, playing as a ninja.
Our customs.
Now, I'd imagine through that choice of playing a samurai or a ninja will alter how your game plays for your character. Because ninjas will be more stealth based, or samurai wouldn't be. So you basically be choosing stealth versus, just like a warrior class essentially.
My family.
That's kind of like how I'm reading it.
In the name of unification.
She's probably like the daughter of like some historical figure. Which wouldn't be the first time Ubisoft done something like that, because Ubisoft, when it came to Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Cassandra and Alexios are descendant from Leonidas.
You are still a frog in a well who knows nothing of the sea. The ocean's filled with
Now we're hearing Yusake's voice.
but they all come from the same river. Greed.
Oh, there's gonna be some controversy about this too. We can guarantee, because we know how gamers are, there's gonna be some people out there who's mad about a black guy being one of the main characters. So hey, idiots, this is actually historically accurate. There was a black samurai named Yusage. He has a statue in Japan.
And you? Will you continue down that river?
Ooh, I got an idea here. So I'm thinking what they're gonna do. Back in Assassin's Creed, well, technically 3 as well, when we this, because Haytham Kenway, he was an assassin who switched to being a Templar. Then it was Assassin's Creed Rogue, you have an assassin who switched to being a Templar. So this might be a story where Yusake, he's kind of, I don't want to say that the samurai are the Templars, but he might switch from like his loyalty being with the samurai to siding more with the ninjas, who will probably be the assassins.
Beyond what we see.
And we must look for it together. We must learn to trust, rebuild.
And follow the blade.
I'm getting chills. I'm so excited. I'm sorry. I love Assassin's Creed. And everyone, we have to hate on Ubisoft, but I don't miss Assassin's Creed games. I've played every single one of them, even the Chronicles. India, China, Russia, played them all. If there's a boycott for Ubisoft, I will be only part of it. So I'm buying Assassin's Creed games. That's guaranteed. I'm actually working on the Assassin's Creed video as we speak. Like the script being written by me, obviously. Like it's during stream, I stop writing the script. It's gonna be about Valhalla and Odyssey, not Odyssey, Valhalla and Origins. I feel like Ubisoft does have to deliver with this game massively, because I feel like Valhalla was very, very contentious with the community.
We are the shadows.
That served the light.
The theme song in the background. Oh, nice. Assassin's Creed Shadows, November 15th, pre-order now. I can't wait. I literally have freaking chills. I'm sorry, Assassin's Creed is one of my favorite franchises of all time. All right, so now we have this is the trailer breakdown, and then we have meeting the characters. Yusake, who I know is a real person. I don't know if she is though. I don't know if Ubisoft can get their own character when it comes to her.
With our dual protagonists, we have two fantasy, the samurai and the shinobi. We want the player to experience both, and we cannot squeeze both
I read his name is Chris Benoit. Damn.
fantasy into one character because samurai and shinobi came from a different social class. They have different lives, so we cannot really mix them together.
The historical character of Yasuke presented a really exciting opportunity for the narrative team. We approached it in the same way that so much of the work...
Man, got some nice locks. We see you out there, homie. Got them locks looking a little nice.
First. Not a lot is known about him, but what we did know, or we do know, is that he arrived in Japan in 1579, right when our game starts. And that he had relationships with some of the most interesting people in our setting, like Oda Nobunaga, the Portuguese, and
Obu?
Jesuits.
Obu?
Made it very...
For those who follow like a lot of ancient Japanese freaking lore, Obu's that guy. Like he's involved in so much shit, even when it comes to like pop culture. Like there's Yu-Gi-Oh cards named after Obu. Like that's how much of a what you call him? Like an impression he has on Japanese culture. Like think about Obu and like a lot of people who are like in his time frame in the same way as like the Three Kingdoms with Chinese lore. You have like, you know, the Li Bu, Li Bei, you know, those kind of characters, Guan Yu, it's like that.
Sort of tantalizing and enticing from a narrative perspective to come in and start weaving these facts with story in between.
The more we read about the character, the more he was inspiring for us. He's a foreigner discovering Japan, and we thought it's the perfect fit because he's discovering Japan and you are discovering Japan also.
And on the flip side, we have Naue, who comes
Naue, so we were pronouncing her name wrong. We were calling her Noi.
A remote mountainous area, fiercely independent, known as the birthplace of shinobi. So they're very contrasting perspectives that really expose a lot of different sides and facets of the era.
When Oda came, he completely destroyed Iga. You have Yasuke and Oda that coming to destroy the shinobi. So it can kind of create this interesting...
So I am right
tension
about my
between
thought process that Yusake is working as, you know, a villain first, but then becomes a good guy. Obviously, like I said, they're likely going to follow the same path that the last few games have done, where you choose male or female. So his switch will probably happen early in the game. Like they might have you play as Noye first, like, you know, a tutorial mission, thing like that, and then he switches. Or they might just let you pick from the beginning and, like, you know, some scenes play out to where you do bad things first, then you do good. It's like they're not gonna have it like something that happens like later in the game where you switch. But he's definitely going to start off as being, you know, viewed as a bad guy first, because he's going to be sided with Obu. Yeah, and that's cool. Who the main villain is going to be that we see so far.
two character.
We were able to connect her to the province of Iga and the legendary Igan shinobi historical figure, Fujibayashi Nagato, who's her father in the game. So
called it. I said they're gonna do the same. I said they're gonna do the exact same thing that they did with what's his name, with Leonidas. How's it going, Z Daily? Welcome to the stream. Leonidas in Assassin's Creed Odyssey is the great grandfather of Cassandra and Alexios. So this person, who's a real historical figure, is the father of the protagonist.
we understand why she is.
Hope you're having a good day, Z Daily.
She has, and the values that she learns from her father and the people of Iga, which are valor, benevolence, and wisdom. And as a young person still at the start of the game, we get to see now we acquire even more of that wisdom as the story unfolds.
And if you ask anybody, it's super clear that samurai will be combat heavy and a shinobi will be stealth heavy. It creates this distinction right away.
You vibing?
Yasuke,
that's good to hear. I'm alright, just having a chill day and play some Diablo after watching these videos.
He can break door. He
they
can
drop some new Assassin's Creed stuff. Want to check it out? Then we'll check out the Diablo new season.
Compared to Naue, like her
it's
character and their outfit, it's really about being stealth, being unseen. She's the only one with the hidden blade, so they have clear advantage
only one with a hidden blade.
Them into the stealth and the combat, even if they can do a bit of both.
They're a really great pair together because on one side we have Naue, who's very intense and passionate and determined woman who is very set on her goals. She's kind of got her heart on her sleeve and she'll say what she feels in the heat of the moment. And this intensity that she brings as a shinobi, but that she also brings to her relationship. And this balances very well with
She's gonna have like that
sort of
Bayek, Cassandra style personality where like she's very, very devoted to the assassins and outspoken. And then Yusake will be like Alexios, where he's just more, I want to say brutish, but you know, probably like more broody, like a Batman style character who, you know, isn't really emotional, just kind of like just a blank mental slate.
A thoughtful, level head to Naue's fiery passion. We really thought about somebody like Yasuke historically who was able to come to Japan and have the life that he did there, to enter service for Oda Nobunaga and achieve all of the things that he did. Like, what kind of person would go through all of this? So our Yasuke is very intelligent, thoughtful, and
that would have been so cool. I hope they do have it in a game, like the actual armor that his statue is modeled with. That'd be so freaking cool to get in game.
Mysterious as well, and that's something we get to.
Because his IRL statue looks freaking amazing. Let me see. There's two that look really good. Like there's this one that looks really good. This is one of the Yasuke statues in Japan. There's this one I think looks really good. Then there's like this one right here, where like his locks are like all just long and down to the side. You got like the two swords up front. That looks like that would be such a cool armor to wear in game. Do we really need like an actual breakdown? I feel like we've gathered a lot of information on the game just with those two videos.
And I'm Jonathan Dumont, creative director of Assassin's Creed Shadows. And today we're going to take a look at our reveal trailer of Assassin's Creed Shadows.
From the beginning, we really wanted to try to create this atmosphere of danger. So we're getting glimpses of our shinobi protagonist, Naue, as she chases down a target through the shadows. We want it to feel as though she has complete control over her environment. Probably some like governor level protagonist, antagonist. Like little glimpses of her in the background. Not really sure what we're seeing. And finally we get her incredible reveal here, cloaked in shadows.
Naue is from Iga. She is a farmer warrior, daughter of
Which would be a line on like how a lot of the shinobis and ninjas started out IRL. A lot of them were just farmers, and the tools that they used as weapons were literally their farm tools.
Nagato. She is a capable person, let's say that. As we were going to learn in the trailer, she will be taking on a role of protector.
All I have ever known in my life.
What we're looking at is the province of Iga, the homeland of Naue. It's isolated a
What
little
gave
bit
it away,
in the
game?
mountains, and they were home of the shinobi. They come from here, or at least a portion of them come from here. And the interesting thing is, once we traveled to Japan and we visited this province, it came very clear how that world came together. Like, so it's sort of isolated in the mountains, sort of kept to itself.
Oh, my shoulder just popped. Trying to move my mic.
Of that place.
Our land,
Closer to thy face, because you know
our
it's
custom,
common sense.
my family burns in the name of unification.
So what we're seeing here are the troops of Oda Nobunaga. In 1579, there was the first attack from Oda Nobunaga's clan, and then in 1581,
Oda.
the second attack.
Sorry,
much
that's that boy.
more, violent one where.
I mean, he wasn't a good guy, but you know.
What we're seeing here is the Oda troops marching into the province of Iga.
Bringing split screen into the trailer was part of our attempt at formulating an homage towards a lot of Japanese media and culture. And so we try to incorporate some of that style into the game as well. It's reflected in a lot of our cutscenes and cinematics. And we thought it'd be really cool to bring that on as early as possible. And so we push for it in the reveal trailer as well. It allows us to kind of show off both protagonists at various points in their lives and how maybe that relationship can change over time.
When we have Yasuke that turns around and says,
You are still a frog in a well, who knows nothing of the sea.
it is a proverb from Japan. For us, sort of resonates with both their journey as they open their eyes or know a little bit more. things are not necessarily as they seem, and that's sort of a driving force for them. That's what is going to unite Naoe and Yasuke. That's something that's big.
I could also see Yasuke not even being an assassin at all. Like, he'll be a purple player you can play as, but one of the things that's kind of been like established with the last 2 games is the main character isn't an assassin. Like, Eivor in Valhalla isn't an assassin. They're friends with assassins, like, you know, Haytham and, you know, Basim. No, those 2 are assassins and they're friends with Eivor, but Eivor, him and herself aren't assassins. Cassandra isn't an assassin, neither is Alexios. You know, they have the assassins don't even, like, they exist, but like there's no real ties for Cassandra to the assassins until like her descendants, because like Aya, who was Bayek's wife in Origins, she's a descendant of Cassandra. That's like where the tie is right there, but Cassandra herself was never an assassin. So you could see she's going to be an assassin, but you could see Yasuke probably not even being an assassin at all, just being a playable character.
The ocean's filled with new ships.
So here we're in Sakai, a big port in Japan. The ships that we are seeing are Portuguese ships. They are a version
Watch this
of
game have better
Japanese, or a
ship
lot of the
combat than
Portuguese
freaking
ships
Skull and
that were,
Bones.
coming in and out of Japan at this point. A few came to Sakai, but mostly in Nagasaki. But for the sake of the trailer, it's happening in Sakai.
Greed.
The person we're seeing on screen is Oda Nobunaga. So he is known for being one of the 3 great unifiers of Japan. A very polarizing character, depending on which side you were.
We're seeing Yasuke's first audience here with Oda Nobunaga, and one of the reasons why this meeting could even happen is...
So Assassin's Creed is known for having historical figures. So far from the trailers, we've seen 3 historical figures. We've seen Naoe's dad. He's a real-life historical figure. Yasuke, who you play as, is also a real-life historical figure. Then Oda, another historical figure.
Oda's deep relations with the Portuguese.
Assassin's Creed's always been like one to try to bring real-life history into their games.
When it came to the use of Teppo. All this to say, Oda Nobunaga is an incredibly powerful figure at the time, very important to our story as well.
There are a lot of speculation about Yasuke's arrival in Japan. The most common one is that Yasuke came in a couple of years before this meeting, and he learned Japanese quite fast, and he was very fluent into the Japanese culture, and it impressed Oda. So his stature, of course, impressed Oda. He was seen as super big. His skin color was one thing as well that the reports.
I can see that. I can see, like, we don't know a lot like real life about Yasuke other than, you know, him actually existing and what he looked like because of the statue. But I can see Oda wanting him to be a samurai because of his look. You know, imagine like some large, tall, dark-skinned dude with dreads, and like you're in a country that's not used to seeing that, so it's like that'd be intimidating as hell to like just see that in a chunk of armor. Like, that'd be hella intimidating. So I can see why Oda would have wanted Yasuke.
That was the first African man that Oda had ever seen. Oda asked him to stay with him, and this is what we know pretty much of the story of Yasuke. So there are a couple of elements that we will see also in the game that are historical reports of his presence. But then after that, there's quite a bit of an interesting what if with him that will happen.
The initial volley is just a concept that we had very early on, this really cool idea of the initial reveal of Yasuke emerging from the gun smoke. To us, that really ties him to Oda's battle style, and as probably one of the most important people to Oda in our game specifically. And what we're seeing here is a battle between the Oda clan and another rival clan, as a big part of the unification was taking down some of these rival clans for territory. What we see is Yasuke cutting people down with a great deal of ease. These are all moves that are going to be in the game. We specifically made sure all the choreography shown in the trailer are all taken directly from gameplay itself.
Which is good.
Or choose another path.
One of our big breakthroughs in this game is definitely this element of dynamic time, seasons, and weather. And we were kind of racking our brains with how to depict this in a trailer. And so...
I mean, he says that like it's like a relatively new thing for Assassin's Creed. Like, sure, the recent games, you know, they don't use it a lot, but you have, you know, played the games during different like time periods. I guess what he might be leaning more to is like it happening in real time instead of like, because usually Assassin's Creed, when it comes to like you seeing different weather in different time periods, like when it comes to seasons, there's a time skip. So like you'll be the fall during like one moment of Assassin's Creed 3. And there's a time skip where now is December. Now it's all snow around, the Davenport house, stuff like that. So maybe it's like more of like a, it's like a procedure generation where it's like it's happening in real time instead of there being a cutscene that plays out that leads to you being in a new time, in a new season.
We thought about establishing their relationship was to kind of break the rules of time a lot. We're seeing them out of place a lot. They're seeing each other, but that might not be literally the first time they meet or lock eyes. And what we're seeing here really is kind of a culmination of both of their journeys.
Even though Yasuke has been on a journey as a fighter for Oda Nobunaga, does he think that this is the right thing to do? Now he's confronted to the destruction of province of Iga. So sort of a
I think Oda's also in freaking Dynasty Warriors. I remember freaking playing Oda in Dynasty Warriors.
In particular, the shot of them in the open field to us,
particularly Warriors of Orochi, which is like a Dynasty Warriors game. It's like a mashup of like a lot of games. Because like I think
but it's really the moment that really brings them together.
Not Ryu.
And just like a quick little note here for those eagle-eyed viewers, you'll note that the split screen is slightly different here.
Fucking Hanzo's in it.
Decision we made. The other one has a bit more of a slant to it.
I'm drawing like a blank on the freaking main character Ninja Gaiden's name because he's in it too.
Or manga codes, comic book codes, but here flattening it out.
I think it's Ryu.
Establishes that
Could be
maybe
wrong.
the relationship.
It's been a while since I played Dynasty Warriors.
I don't want to speak
Dynasty
too much
Warriors,
about
Warriors
that,
Orochi,
given the
and Ninja
time
Gaiden.
period of our game, unification is a really big deal. And I think the concept of unification can mean very different things to different people. And it definitely resonates differently for our two main characters.
And we must look for it together.
So what we're seeing here is that Naoe and Yasuke do have allies in the world. Like every good shinobi, she has access to a network of spies and people that can help her and trade for information. And we're seeing here is somebody giving her information.
Basic Assassin's Creed, having beggars be spies and, people who deliver information between the agents.
About the person that she's looking for. In the game, you can switch between both characters as you please. They do have a life when they're not played, so
which is something that's different than new Assassin's Creed games when it comes to like the split personality, not split personality, but the split characters choices. You only get to play as one. Like I said, if you're playing, Valhalla, you're playing it as Eivor. Eivor's Eivor, no matter what gender you play. So like there's not two Eivors in the game. There's just one Eivor, and the one that you play as is just Eivor. Canon wise, the female Eivor is the canon Eivor for the canon, just like how what Odyssey, the canon main character is Cassandra, but you can play as Cassandra or her brother Alexios just to have the option. So like with this one, what he's saying is you can just like kind of think of like GTA 5. In GTA 5, you can switch between Michael, Trevor, and Franklin whenever you feel like it. Like you can just be playing the game like, you know what? Let's play as Trevor. So imagine it's gonna be something like that where you can be playing as Noe, and then like you're like, all right, let's see what Yasuke is up to. And same thing, vice versa. All right, I'm kind of bored playing as the big broody samurai. Let's play as the stealth character. See how it's going.
You switch back characters, you can see them do something different.
Most of our black box level designs allow for both playstyles to work kind of perfectly, and you can choose the one that you prefer. If you want to go in and just be full of brawn, cut people down with Yasuke, you have that option. If you want to take a sneakier option,
well, be a big ass Shigoki motherfucker.
Rebuild.
This is my favorite.
Shigoki's way bigger than Yasuke though.
A big thing we were pushing for in our trailer was to really humanize our protagonists. Real emotional stakes, make them feel like people you could actually see in real life, especially given that Yasuke is based off a real person. We wanted to be authentic, at least somewhat, to a full breadth of emotions that he could portray.
And follow the blade.
Which for story purposes could be hard to freaking write, because you're writing a story about a character who is a real life character, like person, but at the same time, that real life person doesn't have a lot of information like the people who know about. Because again, even though Yasuke is a real person from real history, historically we don't know that much about his personality. We just know that he existed and what time period he was in, that he was a samurai under Oda, and that's it. We don't know a lot about Yasuke's personality, so for story purposes, it's very hard for them to write his character, and then at the same time make sure they don't butcher it so people will hate the character or feel insulted by Ubisoft for how they treat the character.
Quite a bit of new tools for Naoe and stealth, and one of them is the grappling hook. And the grappling hook allows you to climb over walls that you cannot climb with Yasuke or without the hook, which opens different paths for Naoe. And there's quite a bit of hook points in the game, so within every layout that you're going to see, and sometimes to come in from a different entry point. So it's an integral part of their stealth arsenal, as she can navigate much faster into the open world.
And that's one of the big changes between Yasuke and Naoe. One of the key differences is her ability to take a much more vertical approach. And a lot of our locations are big castles, big tenshu's with these giant walls, and it offers her a whole new vantage point for a lot of these missions where Yasuke doesn't have necessarily the same.
Saying right now, you about to see a lot of black people play Assassin's
Naoe
Creed.
can fight and hold her own against a few enemies, but she's not a big brawler like Yasuke is to take on a horde
It's
of
like the
enemies,
Black
right?
Panther
She is
movie,
light armored and she's
video
quick and
games.
she's agile.
And that's definitely one of the key elements, her sheer speed. She's very, very quick and extremely lethal. But as soon as she's seen, the danger really rises for her, and she's got to get out of there as fast as possible. Is destruction in the game, Joe? Are some things breakable in our game, would you
shit
say?
is breakable in the game. Part of our dynamic world and the dynamism that we created for Japan goes also in the low-level destruction. So the weapons that we put a lot of little technological breakthroughs for our weapons, where you can destroy a large amount of props in the game. You could see him plow through the Suji doors. You could, destroy a full market if you wanted with the Kenobo. Obviously, the goal is still not to break everybody's stuff, but Yasuke can do it as well as Naoe, depending on the weapons they're using.
That's right. Yasuke is not the only one that can break through those shoji doors. Naoe can assassinate people through them.
This is a weapon that Yasuke can carry around in the game. It's called a Kenobo. It's a very heavy weapon that does a lot of damage. It's a little bit of a slower weapon compared to Katana, for example. But it is a weapon that brings a lot of destruction as Yasuke wields it. And Yasuke is a strong man, so he is the perfect candidate to handle the Kenobo in the game.
I said, who do you serve? We are the shadows.
That served the light.
The hidden blade has two functions, so it can come out as a regular hidden blade, like for stabbing people. But now we can extrude the second portion and flip it so that she has a dual wield using a smaller weapon called a Tanto and her hidden blade at the same time. So
it'd be like having like a parry dagger essentially when it comes to her using this with a sword at the same time.
that's a very fast, damaging situation for most people that are fighting her at that time.
And what Joe touched on is something that I know fans have been wanting for a long time, to bring back hidden blade combat, like being able to just fight with your hidden blade. And we brought that back with the Tanto style. It's very cool.
I used to like
very
legit only use hidden blades as combat. Like I'll literally play in Assassin's Creed 2, 3, Brotherhood, like Revelations, and only use the hidden blade as like my primary weapon. Just walk around with a duel, just haven't messed with my primary weapons.
fast. Once again, very lethal in Naoe's hands. When it came to the name of the game, that was something I remember Joe talking about, making sure we had some sort of base into the original lore. And this line was always something that really stuck out with you. We put it in the trailer as well as a kind of punctuation, shadows. They are working in the shadows to serve the light. And that's always been the callback we wanted to conjure with this. Paired with that is also our renewed emphasis on stealth in this game. There are a lot of new mechanics we've added. There are a lot of really interesting tools we've given Naoe. I think for fans of stealth, you're going to be extremely pleased with some of the mechanics we've added into the game.
And a little
It's
bit
definitely
on a
trying to give
meta
everyone the best of
level
both
for both
worlds,
characters.
because right now when it comes
Naoe
to this
being-
fan base, there's like a divide on what style of Assassin's Creed should Assassin's Creed be. There's people who prefer the OG style where stealth is front and center and not heavy combat. So like what you saw with like Valhalla, a lot of people hated Valhalla because it just didn't feel like an Assassin's Creed game. It just felt like an open world action game. And then with Mirage, they went back to the roots of Assassin's Creed. That was the marketing. The marketing for Mirage was going back to the roots, where it was heavy stealth base. So this game is gonna be like a combination of both, where it's like you can choose heavy stealth base or choose to just be someone who just running around to beat shit everybody.
shinobi, but coming from a place that is not necessarily prominent or just at the forefront of the conflict, but a little bit more emerging back from the shadows. It fits with her. And Yasuke as well, coming from a background that's outside of Japan. They are lurking in the shadows, but they are doing so to protect the land. This is a very interesting narrative that will flow towards something pretty positive for us in the game, and very satisfying in my opinion.
Thank you so much for watching. Assassin's Creed Shadows
nice.
is out November 15th,
I'm glad I watched all that.
and we cannot wait